Welcome back to another episode of STEM and Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and today we are going to discuss building leadership and legacy, a founder's journey to global impact. And I'm so excited that you have joined me here today, and I would love to introduce our guest. Her name is Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya. I'm sorry. Help me with the last name again.
Iloeje-Udeogalanya.
Oh, Galanya, I was close. She is a TEDx speaker and a founder of African Women in STEM, an organization empowering African women globally in STEM fields. With 2 decades of experience in engineering and energy, she has managed projects worth over $500 million. As a catalyst for change, Adaeze speaks powerfully about leadership, cultural inclusion, and community building. Her TEDx talk challenges professionals to embrace their cultural identity as a key to innovation. Through her leadership development program, she helps women in STEM design careers aligned with their values to maximize their potential. Adaeze has been featured in the San Francisco Examiner as one of the 10 leading voices shaping the future of their industry. She was named Black Leaders Worldwide Top Leader in 2024 and is a 2025 Women Changing the World Global Awards winner. Welcome to this show. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited to have you here with us because I love featuring people who are doing the stuff, and you are way out there doing this stuff. So, can you share the story behind how African women in STEM came about and what makes your mission so urgent and needed in today's environment?
Yeah, I want to say like every other founder, but it came because I had a problem I needed to solve. So I had a 20-year career in the energy industry, and when I started, I moved to the States. I did a master's degree and then I started working. And I don't think that up to a point I ever thought there was anything I wanted to achieve that I couldn't. I just had to set my mind to it and I'll make it happen.
There you go.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
then
what your parents tell you
that's
growing
what my
up, right?
friends told me. And
Yeah.
they challenged me too, because think about it, I studied mechanical engineering. Like I was, uh, there were only 5 women out of a class of 120.
Yes.
And I was like one of the, I think there were only 20 people that got in through, regular merit admission, and then everybody else kind of like trickled in and stuff like that. So I always challenged myself, and I made it happen. And even when people told me, oh, mechanical engineering is too hard, so I had the same mentality when I started working here. So I was like, okay, this is what I want to achieve in my career. This is where I want to go. This is how I want to rise. This is how long it's going to take me.
Right. She set
But
smart goals. It's
no, I
time bound. Yes.
yeah, and then it wasn't working out like that. And I think for the first time in my life, it took me a while to figure it out because I did not grow up in the United States. So the whole concept of you're different wasn't something that I was used to.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to figure out that there were different standards for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to get mentors, like people that look like me. By that I mean even women, because
Right.
in the oil and gas transmission industry, there are not that many women. In pipeline, there are not that many women. So I can figure out how they did it.
Yeah.
Because the way the men lead is not the way we lead. The way they operate is not the way we operate. And I realized that I didn't want to be them or speak the way they spoke or do business development the way they did. Sales, deal with clients the way they did it. My way I felt was good enough, but
Yeah.
for me, but I kept getting the feedback that it wasn't. And then trying to find that person wasn't working out. And then I didn't realize how much time had passed because I became the person that people came to ask, how am I supposed to figure this out?
How do you do this? Yes.
I know. I was
It's like,
like,
I don't know.
oh, I spent the last how many years trying to find a mentor, like, but then it became a challenge for me because when I listen to them, their stories are exactly mine. So I'm like, this is 10 years down the line and we still have the same stories. It doesn't make sense. Something's got to give. So I was like, if I can't find that person, I'll be that person for other people. And that's how I started mentoring. And then I quickly realized I had young kids. I mean, there's no way in this world I could mentor more than 3 people at a time.
Right.
So I started to invite my friends, start people I knew, conversations with them, because when I talked to them, I asked them to introduce me to their friends. I spoke to over 40 women, and we all had the exact same experiences with different iterations, but the same thing. We didn't know what we didn't know, and we didn't have other people that could tell us how to navigate our careers and do the right things at the right time. And we're finding things out 10 years later that we should have known 10 years before.
Yeah.
So I moved that from mentoring into a community. So that's how we built African Women in STEM community, because I realized we needed a space to share information, to grow, to support one another, to just feel safe to talk about the things that we really cared about. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing how challenging it is in the US, right? Because you hear all of this propaganda, if you will, about land of the opportunity and freedom and all the things, and everybody's the same. And then you get here and discover that there are different rules for different people.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be very, very frustrating.
Yes, again. To say the least.
Absolutely. So, your core values, community, empowerment, legacy, freedom, these are all so powerful and resonant. How do you put these values to work in the work that you're doing? How do they show up for you in the work you do both in the US and across the globe?
It's interesting because I've had time to talk about this many times. And I realized that certain things I do now as a leader, as a founder, I've always done my whole entire life, really. Because I remember in elementary school, I was that person that would stand with whoever everybody else didn't want to stand with. I was a defender of all people. I remember one time I was in elementary four, and they actually called me to come and argue with some teacher about something. Of course, I won, whatever. But you know, the whole idea of you can do more together than you can alone has always been there. Even in school, when I study, if I can't figure something out, I find other people. We all do our own thing, come together, and in a very short time, we've all figured everything out. So the idea of community for me is more like we can do more together than we can alone, and that's just fundamental. Because I'm like, think about it. How strong you are, you can't be everywhere all the time. You can't be in every room that you're supposed to be in. You can't know everything. But you can imagine when you have like a community with collective knowledge with the same mission and the same vision and aligned values, it just multiplies whatever it is that you're doing. You can get there actually faster and better, right? And when we talk about empowerment, one thing I realized in my career is that not having that support made me kind of pull back a lot. And then I also see that in general, as employees, we feel like the organizations we work for are doing us a favor by having us there. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's because of the idea or the relationship most of us have with money. So the person that has the money has everything, and we're just there. But I was like, if you think about it, if you didn't have anything to offer and you were not doing a good job, you wouldn't be there. So the
Hello.
idea of empowerment is just realizing how much power you have, how much knowledge, how valuable you are, and there's a reason why you're there, and just kind of step into that so that you don't hope for a promotion, hope for a raise, hope for a job, but you actually go and get it because there's something about believing in something that makes you want to go get it. And then we talk about legacy. What do you want to leave when you're gone? Sometimes you don't think that far. We wait until we retire, then we think about legacy.
Exactly, exactly. When you're in the old home, folks' home, and going, okay, well, what are people going to remember about what I did? And
Yeah,
that's like way too late, right?
that's
That
way too late.
impression has been made. You've done that thing unconsciously, whatever it was that you did. Whereas we do have the opportunity to live intentionally and
Yes,
to
exactly.
leave the legacy that we desire to leave as opposed to what we just happen to leave.
Exactly. And it's never too early to start building that legacy. And it can evolve with time, it's still fine. So that's that. And then also the idea of freedom. I'm like, there's something, again, I think I'm the defender of all women too, because in general, women are disenfranchised. It's a cultural thing, it's a societal thing, it's a thing everywhere, really. Um, and for example, you find out like this in workplaces, even when we know that we have the actual idea that is going to help move things forward, we hold back for a lot of reasons. Maybe the last 10 times we were shut down, the last 10
Mhm.
times somebody talked over us, so many things like that. So just the freedom to express yourself. And that comes from having that community, feeling empowered, thinking about where you want to live in this world. And you're like, if I don't do it now, then when?
Yeah, exactly. And if
You know,
someone doesn't make the suggestion, what is going to happen? It's probably not going to be pretty.
exactly. So you just let yourself go and just do the thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So I know you're a TEDx speaker. What inspired your talk? The cultural identity is a key to unlock success in STEM. Because a lot of us go into STEM and think we have to look like one of the guys, we have to fit in with whatever the prevailing culture is, and that might not be what we were raised in.
Mhm. I mean, it kind of ties back to just what I just said right now. And my own experience was just, it became easier over time to just kind of stop trying to offer ideas or push things and just do my work. Because I know that one I can do really well. But that's not who I was. That's not who I am. So basically, I was excelling at work, like doing the work, but as a human being, I was literally just kind of fading away.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that years until I hired a coach one time because I was like, I call it my existential crisis. And I felt wow, like I've tried everything and nothing was working. So I went to this conference and talked about a coach. I was like, oh, I can do that. Okay, fine. Maybe that's what I need. When I found this incredible coach and she asked me to go do a 360 review. I was like, okay, fine. Brother was one of the people that I reached out to. He basically told me that you, I don't know who you are anymore. Like, maybe you're there somewhere, but I can't find you. Like, you're just literally almost a shell of yourself, like a shadow of yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
And when he said it, I knew exactly what he was talking about because I felt something was missing for so long. I
Yeah.
felt like I couldn't be myself fully and freely. And it was just so much easier because, again, when you're the only one struggling, it's just so much easier to know, you know what, I'm just going to do my job and forget about every other thing. And then maybe one day I can do it until I actually forgot that maybe one day I could do it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And that day might be today, right? Because it's the only
exactly.
day we really have.
That's true. So when he said that, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so true. That is so true. And shortly after that, I lost my job, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Again, back to some of the things that are whatever. I know better now.
At the time,
And
it sucks, but yeah.
exactly. So when I made that shift to no longer hold back, it informed the decisions I made after that. And what I realized was that because I was free to show up as myself, it was just almost like I could do anything,
Yeah.
right? I could do anything, and I felt so much better as a person. I felt so much freer. I could contribute more. And I found an environment where it made it easy for me to do that. So it was like night and day, the difference between just doing the work and just showing up fully and giving more and being more innovative and being more creative and just, you know, being happy with everything that you're doing at work and in life.
Yeah. And put your full self out there without worrying about how you're being received
Yes.
necessarily, right? I think that's a lot of the reason that we hold back is this, well, what are people going to perceive me as if I show up the way that I am?
Mhm.
What are they going to think if the boss walks in high heels and a skirt instead of, a,
Yeah.
something more masculine looking? Um,
Yes.
yeah, it can be hugely freeing to just let go of worrying about what other people are thinking about you because honestly, what I've discovered in my old age,
Mhm.
they don't really give you that much brain power.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So, why do
That's
you
so
feel
true.
like this message resonated with so many people worldwide?
The feedback that I got was that they kind of felt freed to express themselves fully. It was almost like somebody acknowledged them, validated what they've been experiencing over time. And just
Yes.
knowing that I'm all the way in this other continent and it's somebody else in a different continent, even a different gender is having the same experiences. I was like, oh my goodness. So they were able to relate. They felt seen, they felt validated, and they just realized how much similar experiences are. And for them, that was like one of the best things that could ever happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, we're coming up on the break here, and I like to give people a little bit of homework over the break. What would you suggest to women out there in a male dominated industry, whether it's science, tech, engineering, math, or agriculture, or construction, or whatever it is, who feels like, I love this work, I enjoy this work, but I feel like my square peg is being shoved into a round hole. What do
From
you,
my
what do you,
experience,
what do you recommend they consider over break?
hindsight is 2020. So what I'm going to say is don't try to make it work. I wasted so much time trying to make it work because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. Sometimes if it's not working, you have to ask yourself the question, is it time to do something different? Or is it time to be somewhere different?
Mm. Yeah, and I like that. I like that question. And a lot of times, the being somewhere different or doing something different is not as radically different as you think it might be. So, yeah, I like that. Take that on as a thought exercise over the break. What if this is a sign that there is something different for me? And open up your mind to the possibilities for how you can express yourself and what you like to do in a different location or in a related but maybe different angle than what you've been approaching it from. And hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shake it loud, oh here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Welcome back. Thank you for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales and STEM in Stilettos. And today we have with us Adaeze. Ad, I can't do it right. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
So, over the break, we asked ladies who are feeling like square pegs in round holes to give a few minutes to thinking about, is there perhaps a shift that they can make? Can they do what they want to do in a different place or maybe do it in a different way? I know sometimes we can be a little threatened when we start to take on these larger questions. What do you recommend to people who are starting to begin these personal inquiries into their work life and how it's fitting and whether it feels like a shoe that's not quite right?
It's interesting that I asked that because embedded in my TEDx talk is kind of a framework that I use around this. So I thought about a little bit in what people could do going forward. So it's more like a lead framework. So basically, the fundamental first step is just learn more about yourself.
Mm.
Because I've found out, especially now that I know better and I'm doing better in this what I've been working on myself for the last couple of years, but especially in this my founder journey, it was an opportunity for me to like really put into practice all those things. When you know yourself, learn who you are, what you like, what makes you tick, and then why you're doing the things that you do, it just makes everything so much easier.
Mm.
Because when things are tough, you don't question yourself, which is what we do most of the time.
Right.
Am I doing the right thing? What is wrong with me? That kind of stuff. Because you've taken the time, so you know what you're doing, you know who you are, you know where you're headed. So now you know that there's something else that you need to figure out. So it makes it so much easier. When you don't personalize things, you can have that clarity to focus on whatever else is happening around you.
Yeah, you know what? I saw a Facebook post the other day. It was a lady who'd been in business for a while. And, if you're out on social media, you will get haters. It's just what happens, right? If you've got any reach at all, there will be haters that show up in your DMs or in your comments or whatever it is. And she posted the screenshot of what this person had said. And it was an extremely personal attack on her. It had nothing to do with her product or any of what was out there. And she's like, now I know I haven't been in business long enough because I got this and I did not take it personally. I looked at it and I went, this person's having a really crappy day.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be said for being able to recognize that a lot of the criticism, hate, blowback, whatever it is that arrives in your world has nothing to do with you. Nothing. Maybe directed at you, but it's not about you.
Yeah, that's like gold.
It
The
really
moment you figure
is.
that out, yeah.
It really is. And it's something that it's easy to hear and go, oh, well, yeah, okay, sure. But there's an internal shift that has to happen where you kind of have this insulation that it slides off and it goes over there instead of landing like in the center of your heart. Yeah. When did that moment arrive? When did that moment arrive for you?
It wasn't a moment, because when I said that I've been working on myself for years, I have been working on myself for years. And I think it started when my existential crisis happened and I had a 360.
Gotta love those existential crises.
Oh, right? I mean, that word, I love it so much because it made it like a thing, okay? And then I lost my job and I could have easily gotten another one, but I did not want to go back to the same old because I was like, I knew what I wanted, or I knew what I didn't want at the time. I didn't know what I wanted.
Well,
But
and sometimes that's the easiest thing is writing one what you don't want. And I think it's a great place to start.
It's a great place to start. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But then the other thing that happened too was all of a sudden, because I didn't have a job for a couple of months, but I'm taking a walk down the street and all these ideas are flowing through my head. And I was like, I remember that person because I was always full of ideas, always innovating. And I was like, oh my God, I lost that person completely. And I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah, because how valuable is having the creativity of that wellspring of ideas and approaches?
Yeah. And life became so much more interesting because I actually know that over time, it happened so slowly over time that I didn't realize how I lost because my creativity was clashing with everything. So I had to make that go away. So, but now I was like, oh my God. So basically, that was the beginning of, okay, I knew what I didn't want. Now I'm beginning to remember who I was.
Yes.
But I knew there was something more. So one thing that normally, I want the answers now. But one of the things I learned through that process was, let me take the first step and then the next and then the next. And having a coach also helped me.
Yeah. Well, it can take a lot of trust to take that first step when you don't know exactly where you're headed, but you have a general idea that it needs to be away from here and kind of off that direction.
Yes, exactly. And mind you, I'm shrinking time, but it took me 3 years to get to the point where I had a coach to help me get there. But one thing she told me that really helped was she just said, play with it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to figure it out. And that was life-changing for me. I don't know if it's going to be life-changing for anybody else. So what it did was I think it'll
be life-changing for a lot of people because you're raised up and you go through school and there's this expectation that you should have an answer and that you should be able to figure it out and right now. And for me, that always showed up with this question of, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm 8. What do I know? Right? I like playing the piano. How about that? Right. And people make careers out of that. It's not something to take lightly, but I mean, as an 8 year old, always felt a lot of pressure. And even into my 40s, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there is a lot of pressure to have that answer, to have that right answer, and to get it right out of the gate.
Mhm.
And I think it's a lie that you can, honestly.
Even if you can, I don't think you should, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it takes the fun out of life.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you're going through life, you see something that you really believe in your heart that you should pursue, but you're doing this thing and this is how it's supposed to be done. And somehow, because you haven't seen an example before, those two don't go together. And then you just drop the things and then you go through life having regrets.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of, I love that statement. Those things don't go together, so you just have to let it go. Because I have struggled with that. I'm one of these multi-passionate kind of people, and I love my science, and I love my spirituality, and I love podcasting, and I love orchestrating things, and I do all kinds of weird stuff that I probably doesn't go together, except that it does, because that's Zofia.
Yes.
And it took a long time to give myself permission to be multi-passionate and okay with that.
Yes. Especially in the STEM world, those two don't go to multi-passionate. What you have to be on serious.
You have to be serious, you have to be focused, you have to be dedicated, and you
Yeah.
need to put in decades in your
Mhm.
discipline. Yeah.
There was a friend of mine that says she sings. It took her years before she could actually say at work that she sings, because it's like that alone was enough for people to start taking you, stop taking you seriously, because as if being singing had anything to do with. I mean, it adds to your creativity and to your skills and your ability to innovate and think differently. But it was a thing. Like I
Yeah.
remember, I'm a writer,
Hmm.
and it was one of the things I really had to find in the early years, because I brought it up so many times, the things I wanted to do. My boss kept telling me, you're hired to be an engineer.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? They were like, they were not different. Yes, I'm an engineer, but I could also do this. But he's like, you're hired to be an engineer, go do engineering.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem with a job, right? It's a
Mhm.
very defined scope a lot of times.
Yes.
And that's where entrepreneurship is beautiful for the multi-passionate.
Yes, yes, it is.
You
It
can bring
is.
all kinds of fun stuff together. And speaking of bringing fun stuff together, tell me what you are up to now.
So many things. Okay. That's one of the things I've been learning the last year too, to kind of limit my imagination. Okay. So after everything, there's so many exciting things happening right now. Oh my God, everything feels like it's coming together. So we just launched a mentorship program. We have, about 30 people signed up for that. That is
Very
beautiful.
nice.
And we launched our membership alongside that as well. And it's something I've been playing with in different iterations, and finally arrived at something that worked for everybody. And how you know that things work is when people respond and say yes,
Yes. Yes, exactly. The market
Yeah.
says, we want this.
Yes, this is what we were looking for. And then the other thing too that I actually am curating, I'll probably say like the first cohort of our first career accelerator.
Oh,
After women in STEM,
nice.
and that's exciting. That's a more structured thing that has a beginning and end. So it's called the Thrive Hub, because one of the things that I realized that we have to overcome, or we have challenges with, is we're smart. We can read the books, get the certification, learn the things, be very technical, but in your career, after a certain stage in your career, none of those things matter anymore. The
Mm.
relationships that will take you to the next level and next level and the next.
Yes, it's the interpersonal skills a lot
Yeah.
of times more than the book knowledge.
Than the book knowledge. And because I'm African, so I can speak to that. We're so focused on perfection and being so really good at what we do, we don't have time for the
Mm.
things that we think are not part of it. And by the time you get there, you're wondering, why am I not getting what I want? It's because nobody knows you or
Yeah.
what you do
And
or
it's
can
the
speak to it.
perfection is
Yeah.
not the thing that was moving you forward.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. Actually, it might be the thing that'll keep you where you are because they're like, oh my gosh, she worked so hard, let her stay there.
Yes, exactly. We don't
You
want to
know,
have to replace you. I would
we don't
take
want to have to
three
replace
people to
you.
replace you.
Yeah, because you're doing the job of 5 people. Please stay
Yes,
there.
exactly.
So that's what the accelerator is for, and to actually help you build those strategic relationships that you need so that you're not always seeking. Back to what I said about community.
Hmm.
You have those people that make it easier for you to move along in your career, give you the information that you need that you're not aware of, open the
Exactly.
doors that you want
Sponsorship is
open,
so
sponsorship,
important. Yes,
advocacy, all of that.
you
Even
bet.
your peers that have information that you don't even know.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of us, I know you think about a mentor, it's like this person that's so far ahead of you. A lot of times, your peers are mentors if you
Mhm.
allow them to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So, this all sounds amazing and exciting. And I know you recently won the 2025 Women Changing the World Award. So,
Mm-hmm.
congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, first of all, what did they award it to you for? What was the stated accomplishment?
It's the Rising Star Award. So a founder that has been doing her work for, I think, less than 5 years. So
Okay.
in that category, what have you done in that short of time that warrants you being recognized and honored? Back to what I just talked about now, because I didn't know anything about women changing the world.
Mm,
A friend of mine nominated me, and this is somebody I met at an event, and we kept in touch and supported each other because, again, back to knowing what you want. I knew what I wanted, so I went to places and I met people that I felt were the people that I needed, even though I didn't know what I needed them for in that time.
right.
They fit everything else that I had thought about. So she introduced me to this. I was like, is this for real? And it was, and there were over 2,000 nominees. And, 751 finalists around the world.
Can
Men
you
doing
say that again? Over 2,000 nominees.
2,000 nominees, 751 finalists from over 55 countries around the world.
Wow.
Women doing incredible things. Like, I literally cried when I won because I was like, wait, because I hear people and I'm like, okay, so why am I here again?
I don't feel like I've done quite as much as everyone else. It
Yeah,
always feels that way.
yeah, it was a great space to be in because I felt really encouraged to do more. And applying for that actually made me think back to what I'd done because you have to talk about the things that you did. And it was a good exercise for me because most times you do the work, I don't even remember. I feel like it's not having any impact, or what am I even doing? Because
Right.
I'm in the weeds, you know?
Exactly. And I know for myself, it's like I cross it off the list and I keep going as opposed to stopping and going, you know what, that was a milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Go me,
Yeah.
right?
You go me, yes, yes. And, having all those other women, because everybody there deserves to be there because they're just amazing. And having them kind of like reflect back to you what you do, like, oh my goodness, it was very encouraging. I left there with a plan for what I was going to do because I was
Yay.
like, I'm going to come back next year and I better have done more. You know what I mean? In a good way, not like, but
Right.
it was so encouraging. So yeah, that's how that happened. And I want to say it's a life-changing experience, honestly, because where else would I have met women from countries I didn't even know existed in this world?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I love the fact that you took that inventory as part of the process. A lot of
Hmm.
times we don't take stock on what we've done in the past year, 2 years, 5 years, because it doesn't feel like you get much done on a day-to-day basis. But when you
Yeah.
start looking back in those kind of time frames, there's a lot that gets handled. And
Yes.
I think it's important to reflect and acknowledge. And I think that's what our homework is going to be on the break here, because we're up on our second break already. Take your pen, take your piece of paper, and I want you to think back to this time last year. this time 2 years ago, where were you? What were your goals? What were you trying to accomplish? What have you done in that time span? And give yourself some acknowledgement for the things that you've done. And I'm not talking just professionally, right? Because it's easy to go, well, I didn't get that promotion I wanted. But what did you do in the meantime? Because as women, we wear so many hats and we play so many roles. And so acknowledge the fact that you have taken on caring for your aging parents. Acknowledge the fact that you've helped your child apply to 6 different schools and decide on the one to get accepted. These are important accomplishments as well, not just the career aspect of things. So reflect on what you've done, what you've accomplished, and give yourself some little high fives, and we'll see you right after the break.
Oh, check the loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging with us through the break, and welcome back to STEM and Stilettos. This is Zofia Morales, and I'm here with Adaeze, and she has been absolutely inspirational to me, and I hope she has been to you too. I know you have a mission to empower women to take ownership of their careers and their lives. What does taking ownership of your career and your life look like in real world terms with women that you work with?
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds a little airy fairy, but let's be tactical, practical.
It's as simple as asking yourself, what do you want? Because usually what I hear is, I want to get that promotion, but I don't know if I'm going to get it because they don't even stop to think. Or I really want to get there, but the guy that is there has 10,000 PhDs, and I'm not the leader yet because I haven't done XYZ, so I think I have to go back and get 10,000 certifications. And again, it's easier for people to see you for who you are. So I can see them and I'm like, you are exceptional, I know it. So I think the easiest way to take ownership of your career is back to what you said about stopping to actually think back on what you did and celebrate the milestones and what you have achieved. We don't do that as women.
Yeah,
We just keep going.
I agree. We have this tendency to put our heads down and just keep plowing forward
Yeah.
without acknowledging the track we're on, the direction we're headed. We're just doing the next thing without a lot of reflection, a lot of times. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I've noticed in myself and other women, and you alluded to it here, is we have this really high bar we set for ourselves before we can fill in the blank.
Yes.
I need to get that PhD before I can apply for that promotion, for example, would be one of those things. And if you look at guys when they're going for a new job or another promotion or something like that, and you observe how they actually practically, tactically execute, they don't care if they 100% match the job description. They will apply at 50%. Whereas women, we tend to be overqualified before we even think about it. And then we wonder why the guys are so far ahead of us financially. I mean, putting aside all of the different rules for different people and patriarchy stuff, if it's just that's a reason for our pay gap, and that's something we can control.
Mm-hmm.
And now I will get down off my soapbox.
Oh no, the soapbox was necessary. So that's taking ownership. And part of that is also not diminishing the things that we do, because when things come easy to us, I guess it's also, there's a lot of things, societal, cultural, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't be proud, be humble. So even when you do something exceptional, you're not supposed to talk about it because ABC. But I think that was one thing I learned that really helped me, which is if it comes easy to you, doesn't mean it's nothing. That's probably your superpower.
Absolutely. It's a sign of your superpower.
Yeah. So that taking ownership is basically not hoping that someone else will give you the whole thing about bend down, work hard, and they'll reward you kind of thing, but beginning to acknowledge the things that you do, get yourself to a point where you are like, oh my goodness, I am awesome.
Yes.
Because when you're having a conversation, for example, you're trying to get a promotion or a raise, if you're not confident, it will show.
Amen. Yeah.
So you have to believe it first. So taking ownership means believing it, being your champion, everything, whatever it is, believing it so much that when you go to talk to someone else about it, there's an advice about keeping a list of your wins, fine, but when you go to have that conversation and you can't even convince the other person that it's actually a win, it might be a win, but they're just like, she doesn't sound convincing.
Yeah. Well, and here's one of the things that I've noticed in my experience as a woman. I don't think I'm alone in this, is we have this tendency to look for the weak spots, the things we didn't do quite right. It wasn't quite perfect. It wasn't da 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 da. And you find what you look for. And one of the biggest things that I have done for myself in my self development journey is to start deliberately looking for the evidence that I am good at shit. Fill in the blank with whatever you want to put in there, because that starts to actually build some confidence. Whereas when you keep looking for those weak points, you're going to keep finding them. So look for the strong points and acknowledge yourself. That's what I've discovered. I need to just look for the good stuff and acknowledge that, reinforce that, focus on that, be grateful for the opportunity that allowed me to, whatever it was, stretch myself. And sometimes they look like problems or accidents when they start, but they turn out to be blessings. So tell us about a little bit about your mentoring programs and your career development initiatives. And what are some of the results that people are seeing as they're going through these things? What are some of the concrete things?
Yeah. So I told you earlier that when I started African Women in STEM, it was supposed to be a mentor initiative that we turned to community. So a lot of our mentoring up until this cohort that was launched now had been more like group mentoring. However, the women that come to those events or those meetings actually, it's two sides. People feel free and comfortable to bring their problems forward without any kind of judgment or whatever, because closed mouths don't get fed.
Amen.
Yeah, and then also the other part, because we're very big on paying it forward, you're also able to receive specific help for a specific need.
Yeah.
So we've had a community member that she was attended all these events and always reasonable, asking questions. And I remember when she started, because usually in those days when people started having book a call with me, we have a conversation. One of the biggest things was that she was trying to get a job. And she was interviewing and nothing was working out. She didn't really know what to do. She goes to conferences, nothing was working out. Going through the community and taking advantage of those mentoring sessions helped her. Actually, by the time she was graduating from college, she had 5 job offers.
Yay.
5. I was
5.
shocked when she
She's
told me. I was
got
like,
her
what?
choice.
Yeah.
And she's in an amazing negotiating position, because that's the other thing we don't do as women. And we get one job offer and we go, oh, thank you for choosing me. I will take it. Okay. Whereas if you're like, I will take it under consideration. Okay.
Yes.
And you wait for a couple of other offers to come in at the same time. Now you're in a position where you can go, okay, I really like your company, but company B offered me this. Can you match it? And now you're doing what the boys do. Hello. There's another thing that we do to ourselves. We don't do it on purpose. We don't do it deliberately. We were raised with all good intentions that you should take what you're offered and be grateful.
Mhm.
But that's not how the game's actually played and won.
No,
Yeah. I
no.
love that. 5 job
Yeah,
offers.
5 job offers. I
Yay!
know. That is amazing. And another example, there's another lady that she was trying to pivot. And you know how difficult it is to pivot,
Oh,
especially
heavenly
if you're a
days.
woman. I'm just gonna say
Oh,
that, okay?
yeah.
There was one of the last interviews she had before we had this event about, negotiations and things like that. So she really wanted this job. She had gotten to the final stage. She knew she had it. And they came back. It was a whole thing. They were trying to pay her less. It was a lot of things. Eventually, she didn't get it and she was very disappointed. But I really helped her with like the whole negotiation thing and, getting encouraged by other people. To your point, what you said, you don't have to, it's not the end of the world. There's still going to be other opportunity, but this is a good thing because the next one, now you know what to do, what to say, and how to stand for it.
Yeah.
And she actually got a more senior position and she got more pay
Very
the next
good.
time.
Yeah.
And another thing that really changed for her because she was also a new mom. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
But coming and being with other women who are also mothers and making it happen and telling her that it doesn't matter, forget the new mom thing, just go and get your bag.
Yes.
That made a world of difference.
Absolutely.
Made a world of difference. And she's so much happier. So much
Well,
happier.
and it's good to know from mothers who've been through it that you will survive the
Mhm.
newborn stage.
Yes.
You're not going to die from lack of sleep. It gets better.
Yes, it does.
Okay, it gets better in certain areas and maybe worse in others, but
I don't know.
that
I
does
feel,
do
I
not
feel the
remain
jury
the
is still out
same.
on that one.
Does not remain the same. So tell me, what is up next for you and African Women in STEM? What are the upcoming projects, partnerships, initiatives that we should be looking for?
Okay.
Whoop, hang on, back up and say that again. You blipped out
So
for a
this
sec.
year, in particular, apart from the things I say we've launched, one of the things I'm really moving into, to your point, is a lot more partnerships and collaborations. And that's like very exciting. Right now, we're actually running a June series. It's called What the AI.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
We had the first one on Saturday.
Okay.
It was about why women should actually focus a lot on AI in their careers. So it was more focused on career development and professionals, making sure that you do not let yourself be left behind in this whole AI world.
You know,
Yes, the next one is on Friday. It's about
yay.
AI ethics and responsible AI. So if you care about making sure that you have a voice and you're able to build this new thing so that everybody is taken care of the way they're supposed to. That's a good one to come to. The next week
Yes.
is about entrepreneurship. So if you
Nice.
want to
We
build
like
a business with
entrepreneurship.
AI, yeah. So come and learn. Is an amazing woman. She's going to talk to you about how to start your own business if you're thinking about it. And then the very last one is about personal branding. So now that we have all these Gen AI tools and there's a pressure to be out there and say the things, you don't want to lose your unique voice to AI.
Yes,
So if you want to
absolutely.
learn how not to do that, you show up to the last one. So all the
Love
information is on
that.
our website, africanwomeninstem.com, but that's the thing that is happening this June. And there'll be more collaborations throughout the year on different topics that women care about.
I love that. And we will put that URL in the show notes. So if you didn't
Mhm.
catch that, you can look in the show notes for that. I love your topics. AI is one of these things that, love it or hate it, it's here. And so you're going to have to deal with it in one form or another. So better to know more than to know less.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So we've got just a minute or so left in the show. What are your words of wisdom for women out there?
Hmm. Give yourself grace. I did not learn this on time, but the moment I did, it just freed me up completely. I hope my son doesn't hear this, but it was his birthday earlier this week. I told you I'm going through this founder journey and I have no time. I barely sleep because I have an accelerator I'm going through. So I remembered because his cousins were coming over the weekend. So we're planning for that, but I forgot to buy his presents.
Oops.
And then when he was like, "So, mommy, where's my present?" I was like, "Oh, I was gonna get it so you open it when your cousins are here."
Quick thinking. Good job.
Good job. Literally, I would have beat myself up for days. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. How did I? But I've gotten so good at giving myself grace that I was like, "Oh well,
You
I'm
know,
just gonna go get a present,
there you go.
and I'll get two
Exactly.
this time."
He will benefit from my oversight.
Exactly. So just give yourself grace, especially in the workplace. It's very difficult. Especially when you get feedback that you think means that you're not doing well enough. It's so easy to beat yourself up. Don't do that. It's a waste of time. Nothing is going to change that has already happened.
Amen.
Give yourself
Amen.
grace.
And the only thing you're going to do is undermine your confidence by beating yourself up.
Exactly.
Just make an action point to correct whatever it is and move forward.
Mhm.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank
It's been
you.
such a pleasure to discuss all this with you.
This has been amazing. Thank you for having me, Zofia.
And thank you to everyone who dialed in with us today, who tuned in. I really appreciate you spending your time with us today to learn a little bit more about how we can support you, how you can move into the world in more positive ways and to make bigger impacts in the world. It's super important to me, and I know it's super important to all the guests that I have on. And come back and see us next week. We will be redefining resilience and moving from burnout to balance with Dr. Manisha Gimray, the founder of Momkins. So that is something to look forward to. And until then, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and make that difference you want to make.